5:30, so we're gonna bring the work session to order, if everybody can quiet down. Thank you. First item on the agenda for the work session is the CNY Crops proposed zone change application. Mr. Allen is over here for the public. Fred Allen's over here representing CNY Crops. Fred, I don't know if you want to come up to the microphone or let us know what let the board know what we're looking at and what your proposal is.
We purchased the land from Tim Reed 5 to 6 months ago. And, we purchased it for farming. That's all we're currently doing. There's nothing different about that. But we've been looking at the area. We thought that maybe because of the other businesses around, that there may be potential in the future to, look at some sort of a business there, similar, no different than Right Way or Burn Dairy. Just again, the neighborhood residential business district is prevalent with the Burn Dairy.
And for people following along, this is a parcel, if you know Route 48 Lamson Road, it's a parcel that's northwest of the Burn Dairy.
Surrounds the Burn.
Surrounds it. It's got access to Route 48 and to Lamson Road.
And
it's about 23
all the
acres.
land adjacent to it, to the west, and also the old Grostek property over on the south side of Lamson Road as well.
Okay. Is there any current plans? Did you have anybody interested?
No.
Because I was just trying to figure out the reason.
Is kicking around ideas, but there's been nothing concrete. We haven't entered into discussions with any business or anything. It just gives us the opportunity at some point to do that if that's some change happens.
Okay.
So Fred, there's just a couple things that before you, because the board will probably refer this to the planning board tonight. There's a couple things that before you go to the planning board, you'll want to consider, because it is a 23-acre parcel. And what the restrictions are in NRBD is, you can have one 3,000 square foot building per parcel. So maybe the best path forward for you would be to come up with kind of a sketch plan of how you want to lay out what parcels would be developed with an NRBD use along 48 and Lamson Road. The other thing is, one of the things that's in the comprehensive land use plan is it discourages multiple strip parcels along 48 with multiple driveways. So maybe there's an opportunity to do like a connector road behind.
I don't think that we're looking at any roads that would go out to 48. Everything would be off Lamson.
You would want to go everything off of Lamson. You would keep everything on 48 would be.
We don't own that much on 48.
You do have enough frontage there, at least according to the tax maps. So it looks like you have enough frontage there to get a lot in there if you wanted one.
I would think that we would do that.
Okay. Yeah, just maybe a layout plan showing, how you would, the parcels along Lamson Road, how you'd want to lay something like that out, I think is something that the planning board will probably want to see.
That's a lot more definitive than we've ever thought about.
And it would just be a concept, you know what I'm saying? Just
Sure.
a concept, hey, this is what we could potentially develop there. And, we want the lots to be 300 feet deep or 200 feet deep and with a minimum frontage, just something conceptually. And then the other thing is the county will want like we talked about earlier, the county will, when we send it to county planning, they'll kick it back if they don't have a survey map with the review map.
Well, the thing that was odd was a new procedure doesn't ask for that. All it asks is a legal description, which I sent.
Yep.
And a map of the property involved with the tax map number, which.
Yeah, the plat, well, it's a plat map. I just know what the county.
Doesn't say that. It says a map.
No, it's a plat map there right before it.
No,
Plat map or,
she said this was the brand new procedure.
Okay. The county will kick it back if they don't have, if we send it to them without a survey.
Well, I went up and saw Doug Reed today.
Okay.
Doug, I have a survey of burned area, if that'll help.
Not exactly.
But Doug did that survey, and we never surveys for farm.
I understand. Yeah, no, I understand.
So I've asked him to go do a survey. So.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that I know county planning, if we send it to them without a plat map, they're gonna say you need a plat map.
Probably ought to put that in your instructions.
I agree. We'll make sure that gets added in there.
Okay.
But those are just a couple things to think about before you
Sure.
come in front of the planning board when they review it. I'm sure that'll be, I mean, you know, all the members of the planning board, well, not all of them are the same, but a few of them are the same, and you know exactly what members will ask that exact question. So just a heads up.
All right, so I had a few questions.
Yeah.
I'm wondering why you chose NRBD, specifically because you wrote that you would allow potential business development. Why didn't you go with commercial?
We're not looking at asking Micron to build a building or anything. It's just, you know, something like a Dunkin' Donuts maybe or whatever.
NRBD kind of implies there's going to be residents there as well, houses. And,
On that land?
well, that's why I'm asking.
I mean, burned area doesn't have any houses on this.
Right,
property.
so I would think more
Well, this
appropriate
is-
commercial.
So if you look at that intersection, and I've got it up on the map, every parcel at the Four Corners is within the NRBD district. So that's why I believe Mr. Allen's looking for, you know, succession-wise, something that fits what's already been allowed in that zone, which burned area went in under the NRBD from when Tim Reeves had his stand there before. That was just the zoning, and that's what that area was. So instead of jumping to like a general business, which is purple, you know, on that map, and that is Broztex, probably Ryan Phelps Auto, and then whatever the miscellaneous building is over across from Kitty Corner, Ryan Phelps Auto.
But just so you know, NRBD has restrictions on a bunch of things. It restricts the hours you can operate. It restricts the signage you can have. There's parking restrictions.
You can't farm at night.
Lighting restrictions. And I'm just saying, NRBD is designed specifically to allow a neighborhood and local businesses to interact compatibly. All right, so there are restrictions on that a commercial lot would not have.
I don't think that we're getting into
And then,
businesses that would violate.
Well, but that goes back to if you decide to designate the entire parcel NRBD and you're still gonna farm it.
I think the comments are more directed at just, hey, we'd hate to have to tell you to come back again.
Right.
And ask for a new or different zone change, because right now it sounds like you're looking to maybe do the change as part of an exploration of opportunities that may occur.
That's correct.
And I think that the comment was directed at saying, don't constrain yourself at the moment if what you think that you might end up developing it as wouldn't fit into an NRBD. I think that's all isn't that what you were trying to say, is don't restrict it. If you want to change it,
right.
change it to.
Right. The use you've outlined here sounds like a better fit for commercial to me. That's what it sounds like. And to be honest, from the town point of view, enforcement of the code is more complex because it's more complex code, but you also have competing objectives, right? You got the business wanting to make the most money they can, you got the residents saying, you know, we like our nice little residential area here. And I don't know that our code department is really up to this. You know, I live in an NRBD zone, and it's a constant fight with the code department. And they're understaffed, and you know, they're very inconsistent in the way they enforce things. I've had them tell neighbors, "Oh, we can't enforce the noise rule because we don't work past 4:30," and I'd have them say, in one instance, oh, well, you can't enforce that rule because that's not exactly the way it's written. And then in the next breath, they kind of say, oh, we can't enforce that rule because it goes against the spirit of the law. So I'm not sure our code department is up to adding more NRVD, which is a complicated thing for them to manage. And with, with the potential data center coming in, things like that, they're going to be busy with other. I'm not sure if it makes sense.
No, we do have another head anyways, allocated another slot for a code officer. Unfortunately, we can't tell the code officer what to enforce and when to enforce it either. So that's up to their department to run. All we can do is, if they do need help, we can allocate additional heads, which we have done so. We just haven't hired.
But my point is, it doesn't seem like the best fit. We already know we have a problem there. Why would we go?
Well, I wouldn't say we've had a problem there. We know we have a problem where you live. Yes, I understand.
They're being NRVD.
Right, but we haven't had issues, to my knowledge, at the Burn Dairy or Right Way Hardware or the church or whatever iteration is on the other corner. I mean, that area, we've got to look at this subjectively of someone's asking for a zone change. First you get into the issues of spot zoning, and then we see what's there currently. And then we sit here and make a decision. But at the end of the day, it's up to the board. It's up to the board to decide if, we're going to move forward on allowing the zone change. So, at this point, I think Mr. Allen's probably got a little to determine. It doesn't mean we have to stop the process if you want to proceed.
I think we would like to proceed. I mean, only to be able to talk to somebody like a Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, if you have a farm plot, can't even say, you could put it here. I mean, it just doesn't work. So you can't even begin to talk to them.
No, but you may find, you might sit there and say after this discussion, and when we send it to planning, if we refer and he says he only wants to, let's say you want to subdivide the property to split off the Lamson Road part for Dunkin' and make that an RBD, we'd have to go back through the whole process, right?
Or it would at least get delayed and planning would say, okay, come back with, whatever the submittals are that they're looking for, they make you make the change and come back. I realize that might sound inefficient, but it's generally speaking how it works. They will give you an opinion based on what they need.
Or they know what asking people to come back and all that.
Not always. Sometimes it really is just to address changes that they're asking for, and it's a mechanism that they can use to ensure that changes that they want to the proposal actually are showing up in the proposal documents, which will eventually at some point end up being kept by the town and referred to, say, 6 or 7 years later. Hey, what did we, where did we say this was going to be this zone or that zone? We're going to go back to those documents. That's why the planning board.
If you make things commercial like Brostex is across the street there, is there anything, I mean, we don't know anything about regulations that they face, but is there something that says you can't farm it, or you have restrictions on the farming or whatever? Because that's what we're going to do with this plan.
Yeah, there's no restrictions in general business on farming. General business actually is a less restrictive zoning class, so you do have more options with general business if that's something you wanted to pursue. I don't know exactly how county planning would view that from a spot zoning standpoint, because it is on the opposite side of the road. It's kitty corner. I think they'd probably go with it, but it's a little iffy.
We chose the NRBT only because that's prevalent on that area.
Right.
We don't disagree, Fred.
And it's the kind of businesses that we would be entertaining.
Right, yeah. I would do what Al recommended, yeah.
I mean, that's all. I mean, and like I said, just some kind of concept sketch of, hey, we could potentially have 2 or 3 lots here along Lamson Road, or we would keep our farm field access off of 48 to avoid additional curb cuts on 48, that type of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all, the planning board well enough to know exactly what they're gonna ask.
I do.
All right. Yeah, so I think we're all okay to move forward. It's just a matter of, we'll declare ourselves lead agency tonight, refer to the planning board and county planning board. And Karen will have you on the June 11th, right?
For the planning board,
Yeah, June
yeah.
11th,
It would be
planning
June
board
11th.
meeting agenda.
And then we would hold our public hearing on the 18th for the,
How formal is sketch would you
I don't
want?
think it needs to be all that formal. I mean, just show your minimum
Doesn't
lot
have to be
sizes.
done by an architect or something.
I mean, you could have Doug put a couple lines on the survey map.
Could we put the lines on the survey?
It'll be straighter if Doug does it.
Technically, you're not supposed to, actually, are you still a PE, right?
No.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Then, I mean, what Al's about to say is technically you're not supposed to modify a survey map.
Yeah.
Well, we don't even have a survey map yet.
That's true.
But I was gonna take the tax map and just draw a square.
Yeah, Fred, I can print you off a scale tax map, and just stop by here. I'll email it over to you if you can print it. If you got
Sure.
11 by 17 printer, you can print it off.
Okay.
And we'll do that. That'll be enough for the planning board to look it over and say, yeah, maybe not. You know,
Okay.
just to give them something to look at.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
did anybody else have anything?
I
Okay,
still think it's, the request is wrong. I think it should be commercial.
okay.
We're not voting on it.
No, we're not. What we're doing is, I got the maps up so people could understand and see what people are, what was being discussed. The process is, you apply to the town planning board. We're gonna take, act as lead agency as our motions tonight. Then we'll ask to refer it to the planning board. They will go through the seeker process. They'll give us a recommendation. We'll have our public hearing. And if we have county planning and the town planning board's information, we could act on it June 18th, we could wait. We might find when, after the public hearing, other people feel the same way and we want to make a decision otherwise. So, okay? Thank you, Mr. Allen. Good luck getting everything planted in the next few weeks.
We're gonna need it.
You're welcome. Okay, next item up is the Industrial Code Data Storage Committee update. What I have up on the screen is people have asked, and I have had people reach out. I've asked board members unofficially how they feel when we're sitting at the public hearing about a process and creating a committee to discuss the, updates to data, obviously data storage for the moratorium and how that would probably parlay into industrial code updates. So, people have been asking to comprise a committee. So what I've discussed with board members is, 2 people from each Lysander board, 2 town board members, 2 planning board members, 2 zoning board members. That would get us so it's not a act of Congress to be able to have a public meeting because each of those boards require 3 for a quorum. So they would be able to meet at reasonable times. And this isn't to offset a public, the public process, but it stops us from having to advertise every time the committee meets, because with people on a committee in the summer, they might have to pick different times of day where they can attend and meet. This is not to usurp the public. I am sure the people on the committee will be more than welcome and open to discussing what has been discussed at the committee. There's no NDAs, there's no what can't be discussed. It's probably more entailed than we've ever put into updating a code as opposed to like a comprehensive plan or incentive zone. We'll also pick 2 residents of Lysander that aren't affiliated with the town, no special interests. And just to be clear, the zoning and planning board are usually town board appointments. I think we've put 2 new people out of 10 on those boards since I've been supervisor. So most of those people have been re-upped for their 5-year terms. We haven't had a lot of interest in getting on those boards. I would usually ask at the meetings, I put something on the town website, and people would usually just stay on the boards because nobody else offered to jump in. So these are not people, most of these people on the boards have been there 10 to 15 years, sometimes more. So these are not handpicked by this board by any means. They've been handpicked by a board 12 years ago, but not this board. And then we'll have, what I'm hoping for is 3 county or state members. Those could be people from county planning, staff, somebody out, county legislator representation, maybe staff or aides from the county ledge. And, I'm hoping to get someone from the state. I know the state's still toying with the moratorium. I don't think the governor's going to sign it, but she might. Nobody knows what the governor's doing. We're still waiting for a budget. It's almost Memorial Day. So, whatever happens there happens, but we have to be concerned when it has to move along. So, they're going to meet a couple times in the months from June to August. Identify and consider updates to sections of our town code regarding the technology, data storage, and scale language. That's also we were already looking at the noise ordinances and codes before, so I didn't want to limit that to industrial code. We know we have to update our code to current standards, or at least have newer standards for how the code sits down. Town board will take the findings from the committee to determine the updates to the code, and then we'd have to refer them back through county and town planning, and then we'd have the public hearings to determine what the public thinks of the codes, and then we would decide to vote on it or extend the moratorium possibly. Mr. Riddell, okay. So as we have, Councilor Kourakis and Councilor Schmidt, are we good with this process and the amount of people?
I think you got too many people. I think anytime you have a board of 9 to 11, it's not going to be good. I think you need to have a board of at least 5 to 7.
So you want to cut planning your town board members?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just trying to make sure that if someone can't make it, someone was there.
Yeah.
That was the idea.
Well, the whole intent of being on the board too is, making sure that, I'm sure that everyone will, if you make it smaller, they'll all work around each other's times anyways, right? I mean, that's the goal of the board, is hopefully that they can get together. And who's going to be the chair of the board as well too? Who's going to make sure that these meetings are ran on a certain date and time? Who's going to orchestrate all that?
Right, well, it will probably be either the town board member or the planning board member, and that's, by our June 4th meeting, we'll have the committee decide. How do you feel on the size of the committee?
I think it's fine. I expect because it's the summer, we'll have most meetings, someone will not be there, so the size doesn't concern me that much.
Right.
And then the other thing is, if the board's having a meeting and we say, we really need an expert on, infrasound from data centers or something, we can just reach out and talk to other people. We can certainly talk to more people.
Oh yeah, this isn't limiting.
Right.
They're open to do their own research. People are more than welcome to, talk to the people. It's not, they're not in a vacuum.
Right.
And
that was
I would expect after every committee meeting, somebody's going to be asking, and I'll see a Facebook post somewhere or a social media post on what occurred at the people.
Okay. But I was actually just making that point for the audience here so that they understood that, even though we're saying this is the number of people, the committee will probably be reaching out to people in the community for their expertise in different areas.
Yeah, I mean, you have a number that's manageable with a committee. We took grief about the LWRP, and that's why there's, that's why that process, that's also a 2-year process that's, going on 7.
Right, exactly.
But it was, the idea was to limit it, to a size that is manageable, but also somebody might not be able to attend. And, the committee can still meet, move along with the process.
I'm happy with this.
Okay. And, you know, we can post when the committee's meeting times on the website, but they don't have to be a public, they're not a public meetings, open meetings law meeting. So you might see that they're meeting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's when they're meeting. They might, you know, we have a Zoom account, they may meet virtually. You know, there's opportunities for them to be able to work toward this.
It's an advisory committee. Its whole
Right,
purpose is to
yes.
try to help create a framework and advice about how to create a code to address this issue.
Right.
Because ultimately, the responsibility lies with the town board on
Right.
creating the code.
Right. Yep.
And if somebody calls and says, you know, I'd like to sit in and watch, I don't think the committee will have a problem with that.
Right, yeah, as long as the committee can do their business.
Right.
So. Okay. I know there's probably people that want to ask about questions about that. When we finish up the work session, the other items, I'll revisit that, so people don't have to sit around until 6:30 and wait for the public meeting if they want to ask questions. So, the next item is the noise ordinance. Councilor Schmidt, Mr. Yeager, and myself had an opportunity to do a virtual meeting with RSG noise, and asked them about noise ordinance consulting services. And just so everybody understands, this was put in motion before the data storage thing was even on the radar. This was something we had talked about, I've been talking about for a couple of years, about working on the code. So this falls in line with part of that. Mr. Yeager, did you want to explain or?
Yeah, so RSG is a national consultant. They have a division that specializes in noise ordinance and noise studies. They work for about 2/3 of the Department of Transportations in the U.S. They work for FHWA. They've done work for various cities and municipalities all over the country. They're very well versed and very qualified in this area, and they're not located here, so there isn't that potential of bias.
Yeah, they're out of
Their
Connecticut?
headquarters are in Burlington.
Burlington, Vermont.
So it's an outside of the area consultant. They seem to be very well versed in the noise concerns associated with data centers when we talk to them. It is a specialty consulting service, so their fees represent the specialty consulting area that they're working in. I guess the board needs to let us know if you want me to reach out and try to find other out of the area consultants that might be able to help us with this. Or if you guys are comfortable with the RSG and the $15,800 fee they proposed.
So just my take on, I liked this company. I liked what they were, when we talked to them, they did seem very knowledgeable about it. Really, the only issue I have is $15,000 is an awful lot to pay for a noise ordinance, particularly when I personally feel it's something we could put together in-house, and if we wanted to, we could have them review it or something like that at a significantly lower cost.
So if I may, I would echo Al's commentary about using an outside consultant. One of the issues with the noise ordinance there is a unique issue that is associated with data centers. So most noise ordinances, let's face it, are considered with decibels beyond, at the high range, beyond a certain level, okay? The more sophisticated ones, but still general noise ordinances address both what I'll call base and the higher. What none of them really address, and correct me if I'm wrong, Al, I've never come across one that addresses low-end, low-frequency, but pervasive type noises that can still create issues. And I think that's a significant factor in considering the use of an outside consultant, at least in my opinion, legally. If we were just doing a routine, hey, your motorcycle's too loud, noise ordinance, I'm sure Al and I could come up with, appropriate language for that. But if you're talking about something that's a little bit more comprehensive and addresses a spectrum that is broader than what is normally the case with noise ordinances, I would say it's not a bad idea, whether it's this consultant or somebody else, to get an expert in.
Well, that's why I was saying that it made sense that, if we put the first shot together, to have them review it. But to be honest, windmills have this issue. So everyone who's got a noise ordinance with windmills has an infrasound noise ordinance section. We're not reinventing the wheel here. And the other thing is, the noise ordinance should apply to all business, not just data centers.
It will.
Yeah,
You can't say
Yeah,
data.
Noise is a whole separate part of the
Apply to
code
everybody.
that everybody has to.
But I think it's.
Enforcement's the,
And, that's, when we talked, I mentioned that, we have to build right into the code how it's going to be enforced and, what the repercussions are if it's, if there's a violation. Because let's face it, our current noise ordinance, I think it fines somebody $250 a day if they exceed the, if they get in trouble.
It's up to the judge's discretion to.
Right, but, that's the cost of, that's a minor cost of business for something like a data center. Or
right, for a large, that's,
So
ours is based on like an individual property, or
Right.
go, that's $250.
But, and our noise ordinance has, rules for dogs barking, and it does have one low frequency sound regulation, which is the trucks idling. But,
I'm just saying, whether it's these guys at that price point, if that's not acceptable, maybe the answer is to see what other, like if there's competitors that could issue a different price point. I'm just saying, given the circumstances surrounding both the data center and what we're trying, I think, to accomplish.
I don't think that's a bad price, to be honest
A
with you.
consultant might be a wise move, an expert in that area, because I was looking from a legal enforceability standpoint, they are oftentimes fraught with pitfalls, noise ordinance.
but our current one certainly is.
And as are many municipalities current noise ordinances. And I'm just saying it's probably
Every
this where.
ordinance,
Yeah.
but Al, I mean, I think we need to use an outside agency, especially one that's further away than.
I'll be perfectly honest with you. Coming from a consultant, the consultant world, not that long ago, $15,000 is a very small contract for a consultant of this size.
People that.
That's just, I mean, the rates on audio engineers are nationally are pretty much over $200 an hour. So 15 grand doesn't get you all that many hours. I'll just leave it at that. It's
Plus it's done right, there's no bias.
it's a really a board's discretion. I could care less if you want me to dig for some other consultants with a smaller scope or something like that, I can, but I think the scope that they put together as far as the number of hours and what the fees are, it's pretty fair. I mean, that's just personal opinion from what I've seen in the consulting world.
I don't know where to base it. We're looking at 50 some odd hours,
I mean, it is an hourly contract, so if we write a noise ordinance.
7 hours, $300 an hour. I'm not saying we can't try to find,
Yes, an outside agency, absolutely. Try
we can reach out to AOT or see if, we can reach out to Association of Towns, see if they have any vendors that they work with. I mean, chances are good if they're working with a vendor, AOT, Association of Towns, are probably those are state. So, we were trying to find somebody out, but.
Basically, we're gonna come up with, a 10-page document for $15,000.
Oh, yeah.
It seems excessive to me.
I mean, Ed, if you want to take a shot at writing the ordinance and sending it to them and say, hey, if you start from a basis, is there any way you can adjust your fee accordingly? I don't think they would have a problem with that, but I'll be the first to say, I am not an audio engineer. I'm not an expert on noise. This is outside of my area of expertise. I can provide input, but it's just not something that I specialize in, nor would I be comfortable in writing on my own. I mean, if that, you've got the background in noise to be able to say confidently that, yeah, I can do this, by all means, take a first stab at it and say, hey, if you're just reviewing this, what would your fee be? We can do something like that. I just, myself, am not,
Right, it's out of your realm.
It's out of my realm. I can certainly pick apart some other people's codes and noise ordinances, other towns and municipalities or noise ordinances, and we can pick and choose the parts we like. But the bottom line is, I would rather let people that have experience doing this write the code and write the code in a way that it's enforceable, usable, and meets or addresses the concerns that everybody currently has.
Well, why don't we do this then? Why wouldn't, yeah.
I echo what he said, I can draft you a law, but the technical details that are gonna go into it,
Yeah.
I'm not an engineer at all. I'm
Well, you
an
want it-
attorney,
you
so
don't-
I can do the
When
framework.
we figure out the $300 per hour, I don't think we're gonna get away from that, but we can ask them time-wise. If they, if you think we could,
What if we just gave them an outline? These are the things we're looking for, and maybe that cuts that 50 hours down to something.
yeah,
It is an hourly contract, it's not lump sum, so if they spend less than 50 hours, the contract fee will go down. So I'm sure they estimated conservatively in how many hours it was going to take to draft this, because it does say that they will not exceed the hours listed without prior authorization and extra work authorization approved by the town board. So it is an hourly contract, I think that's fair. If we give them something that a framework to work from, I would assume that the amount of time that they spend is lower.
All right, well, do that.
and do you think we have to vote on it tonight? Because we're gonna come back on June 4th and set up the committee. I mean, we have time to talk with them. And, maybe that number becomes, 15 and 10 and 7 or something, and it's, $10,000 or $11,000 instead of 15. Do you want to try to talk to them about, setting up, and maybe we can get them a better idea what we're looking for, and they can sharpen that pencil on the amount. I know I looked considerably for outside.
No, and I don't want you to go away saying I didn't like that. I like those guys.
No, you were impressed. You were very nervous at the beginning beforehand, but after the presentation and they hit on points that you were looking for, and I know you've become a sound expert.
Yeah, well, and I have a little bit of a background in sound too.
Right. Yeah. But we can, I don't think too.
No, it's not the end of the
I
world.
mean, it's like a 47-hour deliverable there that's not.
Yeah, and again, I would assume that we would adopt this at about the same time we do
Right. Yeah,
data storage
we're in the same
industrial
kind of time
modification.
frame, so
Yeah, the same kind of.
10 to 15 hours a month is not
Yes.
an expansive thing.
No.
It's probably gonna work in tandem with what we're looking at.
That was my thought. Yeah. So if you want to wait until June 4th, not a problem. I just wanted to get a read, and if we need to follow up with them, let's follow up with them in
So
the
we'll
next week.
revisit with them and we'll see what we come up with and come up with a template for them, and maybe that gives them a better know.
Great.
Okay? The other item we have, public sector HR consultants who did our previous handbook back in 2017 with a minor update in 2019. Mr. Kurak reached out to them for two things: updating the handbook and then possible consulting services for HR. Just so the public understands, we don't have anybody at Town of Lysander that specifically handles HR. Normally, it's been handled, sparingly by the comptroller or by the town supervisor. So when you have large issues that come up, it's really out of our realms of reasoning and possibility. When I came on, our handbook hadn't been updated in 5 years, and we had 2 union contracts that we were waiting to finish. We finished those last spring. In the meantime, I haven't had the opportunity to revisit. We had this on the agenda last fall to update the handbook. So Councilor Kurakis reached back out to him for the handbook update. And also if, we were interested in monthly, like a monthly consulting service, so, cover
New hires, onboarding, exits.
civil service guidance.
Yeah.
Just to give a brief synopsis, and I will put, just so the public knows, I'll get these quotes up, because we didn't have them on the agenda.
So they're professional services.
Yeah, right. The professional services, yes, we don't necessarily have to go out to bid or put it for them. But I'll get them up for the public to read, look over. So, the first one would be, the HR management consulting would be $1,200 a month if we wanted to do that. I'm not looking to make a decision tonight. This is our first, Jeff got them this week, I think, from home, and this is our first people that reached back. And then the handbook update was $2,500. And I believe, I'm fairly certain this is the same company that did the handbook.
It was.
We might have been under a different name. So we have those two quotes.
There was also a hourly rate if they did something outside
Yes.
of the scope.
Right.
Yep.
I wondered how that,
For HR, for the consulting service.
right, for investigations, things like
Right.
that.
Yep.
So I was wondering how that rate compared with the rate of the people we just used.
I can look and do it.
It's fairly close.
And-
Yeah, I wanna
and
say it
you
was in the
don't- and no one says you
200.
gotta use their people either.
Right, I was just curious.
Yep. Yeah.
Nice.
And to be clear, there's nobody who's, or,
No, I didn't say,
it's all independent, just,
I was referring to that, yeah.
What the public, Mr. Smith's referring to, we had an independent third party that we hired through our attorney for some investigation services. So that's about all I can say about it at this time. But so we understand where we're trying to get an idea of the cost, and that's where the $200 to $300 per hour thing seems to be a pretty common theme among consultants. So,
And then the other, and I'm perfectly happy with these guys, but do we need to get 3 quotes? How's that?
No, it's not.
because it's
professional
Professional
services.
services.
Okay, I'm just new to this.
like attorneys or engineers or.
Accounting, accounting services, any type of, basically,
License.
professional license, either not licensed, professional type services are exempt from the public bid requirement because there's our need to make sure that you can work well together to be able to get what you need out of those services that they provide.
Okay, and then the $1,200 a month, is that we can call them any time during that month? Is there a limit on the number of times we call? Is it, I saw they limited to specific topics or specific items.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I know at the beginning it said unlimited telephone
Unlimited.
email consultation covering the subject specified below. So handbook, civil service administration, workers' comp, COBRA, coaching.
I mean, I don't plan on calling, that's up to the supervisors, and the superintendent, but, I mean, does that,
Yeah,
I don't know what other questions that.
I would think where the 200 per hour comes in is more like the investigatory.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not just asking us for a recommendation on the act of how you go forward with this. Now you've had a sexual harassment claim or a workplace violence claim, and they will come and do the investigation, so it's independent. That's my assumption. We can reach out and find out. I mean, but if we're good with updating the handbook, I'd like to at
Oh,
least
yeah.
move forward on that.
We've been talking about that for 10 years.
Because we finally have the union contracts where they're fairly similar, as close as they're gonna be. So now I wanna go and make sure that the handbook, everybody's playing by the same set of rules. And payroll is a disaster figuring out holidays, days off, and comp time, and sick time, and part-time, and full-time, so.
Okay.
Chore every 2 weeks. So, okay, so I'll make sure we have the money in the budget for the services. We'll get that moving along. Did anybody else have anything before I open it up to the floor? Just work session. Okay. So I will take this opportunity. We got, 15 minutes before the meeting starts. if anybody would like to come up and ask questions about, code, the industrial, the committee, feel free, try to respect time. Obviously, you can wait until 6:30 at citizens' comments, but if you want to come up now and ask, you're more than welcome to. Just come up to the microphone so she can, well, it's for PAC-B.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't want to be that formal for a working session. Yeah, so I think you had mentioned just when you're talking about the committee that it will not be governed by open meeting law.
In the sense that it's not, there's no quorum of any particular board. So it's not a quorum of the town board, it's not a quorum of
So my
the
understanding of open
planning
meeting law
or the zoning.
is that if you have at least 2 members of a board,
For a quorum, for occupying a quorum, because there are some boards in New York State that have, some town boards have 3 people.
so what I would ask, and Kevin.
Which
you and
doesn't
I-
mean the meetings won't be open for the public to attend. It's more of a
Right,
technical.
okay, so that's what I'm after.
That's the only distinction that I think was being drawn is if we had a quorum, so if we had 3 board members on the committee, every meeting would have to be publicly noticed, published in the newspaper at an expense to the town. If there wasn't a quorum there, then theoretically you couldn't conduct the meeting. What we're trying for is openness. So as you heard Kevin say, we can put the times up on the website, where they're gonna meet.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I'm after. So
Yeah.
just for the sake of transparency, because Kevin, you and I, we went to club meetings in Wood.
Oh, yeah, yes, yeah, no, it's
Just
not,
as an observer. So
Right.
I just want to make sure that what you have as far as this committee, that it will be open to the public.
Absolutely,
As observers.
Yes, yeah, that was not intended to suggest that it was not. It was,
Yeah.
the distinction was, like board
Yeah, so I
meetings,
think open meeting law.
they have to publish, they have to notice. If you don't have a quorum of the board there, even if it was on this committee, theoretically, somebody could say, we're not supposed to do any business, and then you got to adjourn it.
Right, yeah.
So if somebody's, if one meeting, you're going to be missing a planning board person or the public member, you want to be able to keep
No, I get it.
moving the process forward, but it's open to the public can come.
Yeah.
There's a difference between an open meetings law meeting and being open to the public.
No, I understand. So all I'm asking is that if you do have and allow it open for observers, public observers, then of course what you're going to do is you're going to make sure it's published as far as when these meetings are going to occur. So
Yes.
you know when
yeah, yes, and it's, I understand the confusion on the open meeting law.
Yeah.
It says 2 or more, but it doesn't explain, it says quorum later, so most towns don't realize that some small towns in the Adirondacks have 3 board members. So, sometimes there's 2 people up there conducting business.
Yep.
So that's the reason.
Yeah, so I just want to clarify that.
Sure.
And this committee meeting is going to be published as far as the times and what's going to be held, and it will be open for observers.
Yes, yeah, as long as it's not disruptive.
Yeah, no, just make sure you get the rules out there and
Right.
sit and put and listen.
Yes.
And one other point I'd make about that too is this committee whole function is to make a recommendation back to the town board. The committee is not voting on anything other than recommending to the board because the power and authority to modify our code rests by state law with the town board itself.
Yeah.
So put another way though, you don't have to think, oh, the committee's going to take the ball, run with it, and they're going to create a code and we're going to be stuck with it. No, I mean, that's not going to happen either. It's a process and they're there to provide advice and assistance.
So yeah, I guess to that point, I just, going forward, when you have the committee meetings, from my perspective, I think probably from a lot of the public's perspective, they just want to make sure it's a very robust analysis. And you get a lot of potential outside, experts coming in. It's not just turns into like a, noise ordinance, you know what I mean, a recommendation. It's got to be, my person, I feel like it's got to go deep. It's got to go deep. You've got to do the analysis. You've got to understand the impacts. So, okay.
Thank you.
Liz Schmidt, Hayes Road. I just want to say, I think 3 county state people is kind of a lot. So the county people come in and they outweigh community members just coming in. And I guess what distinguishes me is the county and the state people will not have to live with the decision in the way the community will. So I'm not sure why I want the 3 of the weight. Also because I've just been reading about, around New York and the talk of Albany politicians and even the county, they are already very pro data center. They want to see these data centers come up. They feel they're the future. This location of the parcel that we're talking about means they really don't want to give up on it, right? And so you're going to put 3 people that wait on this committee, on this advisory committee, that I think are already pretty clear that they would like the project to go forward. I understand why the county and state voices need to be included. I don't know if they need to be standing members or if they need to be invited in, but 3 seems like a big weight on the overall size. Thank you.
Here, here.
Just for an understanding, I didn't mean like 3 all coming from the county or the state. My hope is I can get somebody from county planning or the county that's also a resident of the town. You know, and then state level, hopefully a representative, because I think there are, you know, obviously the Senate and the Assembly passed a bill for moratoriums. So I don't think there's 100% support. You know, and we might be a canary in the coal mine for the first swing at the plate on a project like this. You know, so far we're the only one who's got somebody actively looking for a project like this. So it does affect Onondaga County as a whole. You know, I've seen posts on Facebook, well, you know, Van Buren should have a say. Well, that's why I'm trying to reach out to, you know, a county, someone on county state. Doesn't have to be a county legislature. You know, we have a different majority leader group in the county right now. And there are people that have knowledge on these items that could add to what we're looking at. And I'd love to be able to make up the whole committee of people from Lysander, you know, including the village or maybe Van Buren to have the, you know, the say. Because you know, I take offense to when, they're all planning and zoning board members. I haven't personally had conversations with any of them other than about their well-being for, you know, the nervousness of people reaching out. I had somebody come to my house last week, spreading lies about me, you know? So made my girlfriend very uncomfortable. It's not gonna happen. Tell you right now, I'll do everything in my power to make sure everyone's protected. So, you know, people who want to act like that, I've seen the goofballs in other states. It's not going to happen here. I'll be at your door once I find you. Because I'm not going to put on.
You're threatening us?
No, but I'm telling you, whoever, yeah, it's a threat. You know why? Because somebody came to my door last week doing the same.
That's a threat. This is an open discussion we're having. There was a question asked.
No, but I'm telling you that it's not going to be allowed. People are not.
No one here threatened you.
Did I say anyone here threatened?
You just threatened us. That was a threat.
Does anyone else want to speak?
Sorry I'm late. I had other work commitments. My name is Victor Walls. I'm a 37-year resident of Lysander. And I raised my family here. My grandkids are here, all within a few miles of the proposed facility. As far as the group to evaluate this facility, I think it's important that they have the right qualifications. And I want to make sure that our community has the expertise in the committee to understand the impact of such a facility. I was a power engineer, graduate engineer for 40 years. I've been involved in big facilities. I know what they take to build, operate, retire, waste, everything that goes along with it. And I would like to be convinced that whoever's on this committee has the technical understanding to evaluate all these issues that are involved. There's a lot of issues regarding the effect on the local environment, the effect on adjacent housing, which are within a few hundred yards of the facility, within a mile or 2 or 3 of the facility, that are going to be impacted by this facility in a number of ways. I mean, there's a lot of issues out there. I'm sure you've heard them all. increased power costs, the impact on the grid, and all this stuff. You need expertise, not only in the technical areas involved, but in the, for example, the real estate issues involved, the agricultural issues involved. So I need to make sure this committee has enough people with that knowledge to do a proper evaluation of such a facility. I would think at least 2 to 3 experts from our neighborhoods should be involved. That's all.
Thank you.
Hi, Courtney, you look at I think we've all seen recently, like, what happened in Utah, where there was a lot of public outcry against the data centers, and if our committee comes to a decision where they say, this isn't good for the community doesn't want this, can we be assured that you will take our best interest in mind and adhere to the advice of the committee if they're saying this isn't what the community wants, and this isn't what's best for the environment, and that you won't go against their advice to, like, our detriment, basically. And that's, I just want to make sure that we can be assured that you have our best interests in mind when it comes down to it, and our community in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to speak? You got a couple minutes.
Hi, my name's Annika. I live right near the plot of land where this is proposed to be happening, and I just want to say that I run by there every single day, and it is the best part of my day. Genuinely, it is such a beautiful area, and putting a data center there would absolutely destroy the beauty of it, and not only that, but destroy the community as well.
Okay, and with that, we'll get a couple minutes before we start the board meeting, and people are welcome to come up at Citizens Council. They have more to say. And the work session at 6:28 p.m.
Yeah, one of the residents, Lysander.
We stop.
Oh, sorry, you're stopping? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I think
Give people a couple minutes. I don't know if anybody else.
We have citizens' comments in about.
Citizens' comments, yeah. Citizens' comments will be right after the adoption of minutes. Okay, it's 6:30 p.m. We'll bring the meeting to order. First item up is the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I don't think we have need for an executive session tonight.
And then Carl had something.
No, because he's probably not going to be. He said he might not be able to. Allegiance. Adoption of minutes. Can I get a motion to adopt the May 7th, 2026 minutes? Sure. Anybody else? I'll jump up. Okay. You're right. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Yes, motion carried. Citizens' comments. I will note that I do have one agenda item to add. It'll be agenda item H. There'll be a motion to allow the town supervisor to sign the LWRP extension as required by New York State. Just to explain, the LWRP that was awarded in 2019, started in 2020. The original extension ran out in April. This isn't that it's costing us any more money, but the timeline with the state, in order to keep moving forward, I have to sign the extension. We got to do project managers. She was updating all the records and notifying us. Lysander is the lead agency on the LWRP, so there's Lysander, Baldwinsville, and Van Buren. And we're the lead agency, so I have to sign the paperwork. So that'll be an additional motion. That being said, is there anyone that would like to speak, citizens' comments? State your name if you're willing. You don't have to.
Good evening, Supervisor Road and members of the town board. My name is Glenn Silver, and I'm a resident of Lysander. I'll do my best to be brief and not test anyone's endurance this evening. First, I want to thank you for considering the formation of an advisory committee regarding the proposed data center. I appreciate the time and effort the board is dedicating to an issue that will have lasting consequences for our community. However, I am deeply concerned that the committee structure currently being discussed does not provide meaningful public representation and risks undermining public confidence before the process even begins. Based upon the framework I've seen so far, the advisory committee, which consists primarily of government officials, while residents, the people most directly affected by this project, would be limited to a single citizen seat or 2 citizen seats. That is not balanced representation. When hundreds of residents attend a public hearing, thousands sign a petition, these people, the people most affected by this decision, should not have the smallest voice in the room. Accordingly, I believe the following 6 conditions are essential. Number 1, citizen representatives must equal or exceed the number of government officials serving on the committee so that public participation is substantive rather than symbolic. Number 2, committee openings must be publicly announced and broadly advertised so that all eligible residents are aware of the opportunity. Number 3, residents must be permitted to submit formal applications or letters of interest to serve on the committee. Number 4, clearly written conflict of interest standards must be established in advance and publicly disclosed before any appointments are made. Number 5, committee members must be selected in a fully public town board meeting with all deliberations and votes conducted on the record. Number 6, the committee must include direct and substantial representation from the neighborhoods and residents most impacted by the proposed project. Regardless of where people stand on this project, residents must be able to trust that the process is fair, balanced, and genuinely inclusive. Right now, many people do not believe that is the case. This issue is too significant and its consequences too long-lasting for the public to feel excluded from the conversation. And if the board believes these additional steps require more time, then I respectfully urge you to extend the moratorium for at least an additional 6 months rather than rush a process that lacks sufficient public confidence. The credibility of this advisory committee and ultimately the credibility of its recommendations will depend not only on the outcome, but on whether the public believes the process itself was fair from the very beginning. Thank you for your time, your consideration, and your continued service to the community.
Is there anyone else or wishes to speak?
There was that man earlier.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I hesitated. It's not my favorite thing to speak, but I'm going to do it. Thank you guys for continuing to take public consideration as you put together the next steps for this moratorium. We all know water is a finite resource, even though in our area we've been very fortunate enough to have enough of it. The world's in a state of water bankruptcy, according to the UN, as of January this year. Water safety, quality, the preservation of this resource, and avoiding strain to our existing infrastructure needs to be of high priority with the committee's representation, which I'm guessing that you all understand and are on board with, but it bears repeating. By this point, we're all aware that data centers use hundreds of thousands to millions of gallons per day. Even the facilities that market themselves as closed loop often still rely on cooling towers that require regular replenishment to make up for evaporated water. This evaporation is known for drawing down local water sources, which can indirectly strain nearby groundwater basins. Most commonly, though, research shows data centers impact groundwater and local wells through massive water consumption for cooling, which can lower local aquifer levels. They also pose contamination risks from backup diesel fuel leaks and chemical wastewater discharges. This heavy demand often leads to direct competition with residential wells within 5 to 10 miles off the site. As you probably know, the Village of Baldwinsville's municipal supply comes from local wells. The village is responsible for the water testing and maintenance of the municipal well water system. This could put a large burden on the existing infrastructure and the residents. Then there's also the impact to neighboring wetlands of the Three Rivers Wildlife Management Area. I'd like to just ask a few questions. One is, how is the board going to ensure that the committee is equipped to look closely at these implications to infrastructure and our natural resources and the risks that those are basically up against?
With any kind of code, I mean, we have a comprehensive land use plan, and this is the reason that we're asking, I'm putting planning and zoning board members on there, because these people have read our code, read our laws, understand the implications of an industrial parcel. And it's a zoned industrial parcel, so we have to take that into consideration when you look at our code and what is allowed on industrial parcels. So we can't sit and compare things. And, as I had said before, any project that was approved before required water and sewer to be delivered on site and to the surrounding area to offset any possible issues with wells. The water part would probably be a Village of Baldwinsville or an Onondaga County item that we don't control at this time. The environmental hazards have to be addressed in seeker. I'm sure the DEC would weigh in, but I believe with the first iteration of 360,000 square foot, all of those items were met. Obviously, this is a different project, so it would go back through the process. But that level is the DEC.
Yeah.
We're not the DEC.
Understood. I'm just
So I'm trying to explain what the local level covers. And it's going to irritate people, because I watch people go to planning board meetings, get upset that they didn't address it. It's what we take care of at a local level. We don't control if the county says we can support 4 million gallons of water a day. We don't make that decision. So there are items that are out of our control. And that's why I want people that understand the law and have county people. Maybe somebody from Weber Water will be on the committee or can reach out to them to know what the rules are and what's an allowed use. So that's why the composition of the committee is what I'm looking at, and the board is agreeing with, because we need people that have to understand what the implications are based on the zone. It's a zoned industrial property. A lot of the things you see on social media, these are requiring zone changes. There's no zone change here. Maybe the committee comes back and says, we need to update our zone and have a different type of class. But we also have to consider what we already have in industrial parcels in the town, 1,000 feet, less feet away from residents already. We have to, when you take a neighborhood or a community, you have to take all those factors into consideration.
Yeah, I guess I'm just trying to demonstrate here that this is an unprecedented amount of impact that this is going to have. So anything that you currently have in place, and anybody that's currently used to dealing with an industrial site, that's a great baseline. But this is not hard to find research. This is incredibly damaging if it's not handled proactively. So I'm just trying to do my due diligence as a concerned citizen, as somebody who lives in the village who's going to be dealing with low water pressure, who's going to be dealing with the effects of an infrastructure that can't support, who's going to be dealing with water that's contaminated because the village can't handle this, right? So if the village, you know, I know you're not directly responsible, it's a different municipality, but like the village is right here. It's like right here, it's on top of this. So there's like far-reaching impacts. So what can we do to involve the village? Like, have you reached out to the village to say, hey, can you be on the committee? Because this is going to affect your water.
I've had village residents that want to be on the committee, yes.
Okay. Or even professionals that you think have the background to evaluate this extensive issue.
Right, and I understand it's an extensive issue. That's what, we all see the noise problems, we all see the problems. But it's also an industrial issue. And 200 yards away, you have something that uses 1.6 million gallons of water a day. Uses roughly 200 megawatts of energy. So we have to consider if we're gonna start coding and zoning people based, or businesses based on electricity usage, which no town in this county does. We can't zone something out of existence when we already allow it here in the town.
What is beyond it? It's beyond the way. You know it's beyond the way.
This is the next one.
Yes, and in Onondaga County, there are projects that are beyond Budweiser. You're absolutely correct. And those are county decisions. We don't even get to make the utility decision. Maybe that's where the public outcry goes, is telling the state, how come we don't have a say on the next person that wants to come in?
So maybe that's why the moratorium gets extended, because this stuff can't get accomplished in 6 months. It's too big. It sounds way too bad.
Is there anyone else wishes to speak?
Sorry.
I just need a little clarification. So you're putting together a committee, but you have no power in addressing the issues that the community is bringing up. Is that correct?
Well, the issues above the local level.
No, you're saying that the DEC and the Onondaga County have the power to make the changes regarding this data center. But you guys are really, you're here, but you're not doing anything.
Well, we can't tell the county if they're gonna allow.
So how do we tell the county? Tell us how to tell the county.
You have a county legislator, you have a county executive.
So why are we dealing with you guys when we should be dealing with them? Because you don't sound like you're gonna be able to make any significant change in this data center progress if you already have zoned it as industrial, which in my opinion is not industrial. This is a data center. It's not a manufacturing building. It's not a Budweiser. It's a data center. It's a whole different creature you're dealing with now. Okay? So I feel like we're wasting our time with you guys. That you just admitted that you can't do anything, that we have to go to DEC and Onondaga and our state legislature. Is that correct?
If you want to change state legislation, you talk to your state legislators.
Then we're
If you
going to
want
need
to
an
change county
extension of the
legislation.
moratorium. You're going to have to give us an extension to give us time to do that.
Right, he pulled this out of the head. That's true.
That's all I need. All right. You clarified my question. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Is anybody else?
Believe it or not, I have something positive to say, nothing but love in the front of the room. So I want to make 2 points, because I had never gone to a town meeting. I moved into the town of Lysander in 1997, and our first town meeting was 2022, because my husband and I and our neighbors had a specific issue. And at the time, I knew how nothing worked, right? I didn't know what the planning board was, who they did, and who the town board. And so in the years to come, I sort of got a roadmap and figured out how to navigate it. And so, I addressed the board, but I would say for the people here, it is an unfair accusation to say that the board is doing nothing. The board is doing what you can control. You control your code. You've given yourself a moratorium to start on the code. And in the next 6 months of the moratorium, there can be the discussion of whether or not to extend the moratorium and how fast you can work. The noise ordinance that you discussed is something in your control, subject to whatever state constraints, and you already have that up there. There will be other issues potentially about fire suppression and fire protection, and issues about prevailing wind, issues about how something can be powered, and generation, or things like that. Issues about, and you said there are decisions you won't make, the water. I mean, I indicated that I feel like there are certain people in the state, not unanimous, you're absolutely correct, that really would like a data center to happen in certain issues. And so, and we can't do that, but the code is under the town's control. And the whole idea here is to look at a case. And I think anyone here that wants the bullet points of parts of the code or things that they're worried about and how they would translate into code. Because my feeling is, if you change a code in a ways that makes the data center less hospitable, maybe they're less likely to come. Since, as it said, you don't have the time. So, but I would say, I actually step up here to defend the board because they are actually acting the exact way they're supposed to now going forward on the things that are in their control. And I'm not just saying that because I'm married to one of them. I'm actually saying that.
It's this one, by the way.
And the other thing I would note to people here, and I think tonight, people are frustrated and concerned about it. I share a lot of them, and they've been mostly respectful. But I would actually say I'm a member of the New York Coalition on Open Governance, which is a citizen coalition that tries to lobby for laws and hold them accountable in terms like FOIL and open meetings and things like that. And I would tell you, citizen comment is not required under open meetings law. It is something the current supervisor reinstated because his predecessor didn't want to listen to people gripe, in my opinion. And he eliminated them. And this supervisor brought it back because even though he's not having a super lot of fun right now, I mean, I don't know about the guy, not a lot of fun, had better times. But he actually did it because he actually really believes in the voice of the town. So I know you're very frustrated at the board, but I would say the very structure that's allowing you to vent your frustration is actually not yours by right. It is yours by the value of the town supervisor that has given it to us. Thank you.
Is there anybody else?
I'll just have, a couple comments. Speak into the microphone because you mumble.
Yeah, hard to hear.
Nobody can hear you.
Okay.
it up.
I adjusted it lower because we've had shorter people come up. So, sorry.
I feel like a rock star.
Yeah. Karaoke night.
Drop the mic. My concern here, and Kevin, you have sent me emails that state very much what you just stated as far as, Anheuser-Busch and all of this. And the challenge here is I worry that the scope of this committee and the scope of this analysis of this committee is going to be restricted to existing zoning laws. That this site is industrial, so we have to consider this is an industrial site, those are our zoning laws. When in fact of the matter, I'm hoping that this committee takes a broader look and says, maybe we need a new land use category under data centers, given the impact.
Come up with their recommendation.
I'm just worried from the things that you've said relative to comparing it to industrial. You've done that many times. I will also mention that, there are some lawsuits.
But you can't, listen, if we stay with an industrial code,
right.
We're having an interaction, so I'll let you speak. But when we open up the industrial zoning, if we can't make it more stringent for one customer. So if we change noise ordinances and Anheuser-Busch doesn't fit the bill, they have to change what they're doing. We have to accommodate whatever's in the code. You cannot go after one user. This goes back to what I said a month ago.
My understanding is you need to find a land use. Industrial land.
Could we sit there and make it industrial too? Yes, but that again goes back to then they would have the opportunity to argue why am I different from what's industrial?
So there is a lawsuit. There's, when you look at the town of Lansing and you worry about TerraWolf suing them, they're not suing them. They're actually getting sued now by 2 environmental groups. The judge just gave them standing, so they're proceeding along with that lawsuit. The basis of that lawsuit is that a data center and the use of a data center does not fit within their existing industrial land use. It's significantly much broader, much more significant than what they envisioned in that land use. So now they are getting sued. So I'm just hopeful that you take a much broader scope on this and don't let the committee do what the committee needs to do, and don't limit by having planning board people there's focused on their zoning, it needs to be considered broader than this, because we're facing something pretty significant here.
Yeah.
Great.
And by the way, I want to get you keep saying that Anheuser-Busch uses 200 megawatts of electricity. Is that relative to 300 megawatts? I'm looking for.
No, but what I'm saying is, if you're going to start, if you want to create a code that goes by electrical usage, then we have to ask every person. And what I'm saying is, if someone comes to challenge that, and there will be a lot of challenges, I have a feeling. I'm just going to be like Johnny Carson Carney. In the envelope, there's going to be a lot of challenges at the end of this. But you can't pick on one thing. You can't go after it, because then you're on the other end of the lawsuit. And there's going to be, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of legal representation by the end of whatever we come up with, or if we extend a moratorium. But I would hope that, I think people have a misconception that just because planning and zoning board members are on there, they're looking at it like, oh, just remember, you don't go far. No, they're going to look at it objectively, because in their 15 years, they've wrestled with other issues that have come up, and they can say, well, remember when this occurred, this is what we had to do because we did get sued, or there was litigation regarding this. It's about having the historical narrative of what is allowed in the town and why it's allowed and why you could necessarily treat something differently or you can't. It's not to weave the place to the ending someone wants to get to. I have no objective. I don't. I didn't run for this. I didn't run for this seat to change the town. People ran that.
The scope of this is going to be constricted to the existing.
But it's not. It's not going to be constricted. But you have to look at it objective. You have to sit there and say, well, okay, maybe a couple people on the committee start off from the beginning, no way we want this. But then they also have to understand the legal ramifications of how don't you want it? How do you create that if you don't want it? And let's be realistic we gotta change our code to measure electrical usage. And do we even control that at a town level? Can we require that? This is the reality of creating a code.
I'm hearing a lot of cans.
No, it's not a lot of cans. It's a lot of the realistic point of the fight or the discussion.
Can I add something real quick?
Sure.
So my approach is, and I've already sort of worked on it, is to identify what everyone's concerns are. I started a spreadsheet of lines and lines of this is a concern, this is a concern, this. Some of them are completely legitimate concerns. Some are concerns I have myself. Some are aliens invading kind of concerns. But they're all on the list because at the end of the day, we owe you guys answers on anything that you're concerned about. And in my opinion, that's the driver for this committee, and that's what, if we're very concerned about water and it turns out that the county water is controlling all that, then we're gonna talk to someone from county water, and we're gonna get an answer on that. So I don't see this as a process where we're going and saying, what do we have to do to fit a data center in? It's a process of, these are the concerns the community has. Can we address them? Can we not address them? And what are we doing about how are we going to make this work or not work? And if it's not going to work, to Kevin's point, we need a solid reason why it's not going to work so that when we get sued, it stands up. We can't just say we don't want it. We need a plan and we need a way to go about it.
Is there anyone else?
I hate doing this. I know I'm screwed if this comes in, because I'm a half a mile from the plant. The plant that will take all the water out of my well and poison all the animals that live in my backyard. I'm right in smack dab in the middle of wildlife here. And we have wells and septic tanks. That's how we do things. I have neighbors that have had their wells go dry just during regular seasonal use. So you're gonna take 300 million gallons a day. At first, they're probably only gonna take like 70 million or whatever. But you gotta have like Mr. Schmidt said, you gotta have the water people say, yes, we're gonna put a line in there and make sure that's the water they use. And yes, when you're getting rid of the water, how are you getting rid of it? Are you gonna put it into the soil? That's not good. What you're doing is you're talking about, well, we made that an area so you can have big business there building things. That's true, but this is not the regular kind of business they're talking about in the original thought of what we're talking about. They're dealing with a lot of poisons and everything else with this process. And if you're only a half a mile away, that means that they've actually swallowed up my area, which is residential and agricultural actually, and said, no, we need the water that's going to your house, Wayne, so screw it. You're tough shit, you know? Pardon my language. But I can't live with that. And I'm getting tired. I'm 83 years old. I'm gonna be 84 this year. I'm tired of these kind of silly things that happen in life, but that's the way it goes. But we don't have to be a nice town like it is now. It really runs nice. You got good schools, you got beautiful land, there's plenty for everybody here. And if you put a place like that right in the middle of it, and it'll change the character of this whole place. And we should be able to say something and have an effect on that. I think you're right about the planning. You said, oh no, well, we got that all planned out. That place has got to go in there. Well, no, it doesn't. You got to look at the things that this place is going to do. Is it going to wreck the aquifer? Is that going to happen? Probably. You know, when they dug up that field for the first project, my water didn't run clean for 2 years. All they did was they took the topsoil out of there, and right away I started getting dirt in my well. I'm a half a mile, and there's all kinds of trees between us and everything. And I still got dirt in my well, and more than I usually would get. So I'm just telling you that it's going to be a lot worse than that. This guy that took it out, he took all that topsoil and put it somewhere, sold it or whatever. He put tar from the roads that were scraped up and threw it on that land. I watched them doing it. You go over there, you'll see it, there's piles of it. That's gonna just get down into the soil. It's getting into the aquifer already. Who knows how much damage he's done by doing that. We have a the soil around here is not solid. It's not like all rocks. Everything is all mixed up. It's the bottom of an ocean and the bottom of a glacier. And there's all kinds of different soils in here. And that means that it's porous and there's all kinds of interaction. And if you're gonna be messing around with that, you're causing a lot of trouble in the future.
Yeah.
So I better shut up. Thank you for. Thank you. And by the way, I really don't support people that want to be in politics. But Kevin, I voted for you. I supported you. I put a sign in my yard. I never do that. But the last guy, he was like, hey, you guys, I'm the boss here. No, you don't do that, and nobody should be doing that. All the way up to you know who. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm Mike Keenan, one of the Lysander residents, anti-data center. But a quick question, actually. They brought up a good point about that there's more than just this level that goes into this. I don't know anything about the logistics of this kind of process at all. So I'm just kind of curious, like, what other organizations have to give the rubber stamp? So is it county also is involved in the final decision, ultimately, or how does that actually work beyond here? Sorry.
I'll let Al explain it because he's also the engineer for the planning board and he can explain process from beginning to end. And then we can get into, and Al can even explain what levels of what we look at here, what they look at a different level.
New York's a home rule state. So the town sets their own zoning and their own limits on what is allowed in each zoning district. The state and New York State court system has said that you cannot specifically say, we're not going to allow adult bib stores. We're not going to allow a specific use. You have to give every business some kind of place to go in general. You can mitigate the effects of that business through your code, i.e., hey, we're not going to allow a data center that cools using groundwater in the town of Lysander, for an example. You can limit the effects of something in a specific zoning district through your code. Our limitations are, hey, we don't have a water supply directly in the town that the town is in control of. This facility would be, water would be provided by Aqua, which is a county agency. The planning board in review of a project like this would say, Onondaga County Water Authority, please give us a capacity letter stating that you can supply the capacity of what this facility is demanding. Same thing with power. The town does not regulate who gets what amount of power. That's regulated through the New York State ISO system. And that is what has drawn this controversy to a head in that they have applied to New York ISO for 300 megawatts of power. That has been a significant capital investment by the developer or the owner of the property to go through that study and ask for that amount of power. The process here is we're forming a committee to look at all of the issues, like Ed said, that the public has brought up and see how the town can mitigate the effects of this proposed industry on the town of Lysander. But ultimately, we are limited in what we can do. It's a local law process. So the process is the committee reviews the issues that the public has brought up, looks at things that can be done to mitigate those issues. Is there a way that we can fit this into the existing industrial zone? Is this something that needs to be a separate zoning all alone, on its own? From there, the town board reviews the recommendations and potentially a draft code. And they would refer it to the town planning board, the town zoning board, and county planning for additional review and consideration before they would hold a public hearing where, again, the public would be able to weigh in on what was produced through the committee and the town board and the comments that the planning board, zoning board, and county planning make related to that new section of code. And after that public hearing is closed, the town board would then be in a position to either adopt the code, make revisions to the suggested code, or take no action. So that is the process essentially of how a local law is adopted, what the restrictions that the town must operate under based on the things that it can control, and some of the things the town just doesn't have control of. I've never heard of a town or seen a section of code that says, no, we're not gonna allow electrical uses over 100 megawatts of power. I've never seen that. I believe, and I'm not an attorney, if you looked at case law, that's the reason why New York ISO was initially set up, was so that you didn't have local municipalities looking at these larger issues that affect more than just the local municipality. They affect the state as a whole. I suspect that's why that organization was formed by the New York State Legislature and made, a mandated organization. The process is involved. The process has multiple opportunities for public comment and input. And everything that I've heard from every one of the board members up here is they want the public comment. They want the input. But the public needs to understand is that we can't just say, yeah, no, we're not going to ever have data centers here without having significant liability that would affect the town in a very negative way.
And just cut in, because I know someone will probably get up and say, well, there's towns that's banned them. Sure, we could write any code and ban anything we want until someone walks through the door with a lawsuit saying that that's not, we're challenging that, and here's our basis and here's our grounds. And, some of the towns that have done it already haven't had one single project come forward, don't even have a parcel that could even be considered without considerable costs. So in towns that, I have talked to other town supervisors who go, yeah, we banned it. We don't have anything that's viable for a project like this. So the ban on paper looks great, but realistically, it's not deterring a project from coming there because they didn't have the right things to build there anyway. So, we can sit here and ban something and see how it works. But would it probably be fruitful in this regard? I doubt it. But I think what people are looking for, like, what does the planning board review? What does, what level of review do we have at this level? And then that's the DEC hands, or that's, New York State regulation.
So the planning board isn't involved until an actual application for the use comes into the planning board. The planning board would then review, all right, does this use meet all the requirements of the town code? And then they would go through the seeker review process for the specific project, just like they do for every project. This is a large facility. It would be a type 1 action. It would require a long-form coordinated review with all state regulatory agencies, including New York State DOT, New York State DEC, Federal Army Corps of Engineers for federal wetlands, Onondaga County Water Environment Protection for sanitary sewer, Onondaga County Water Authority for water. All of those involved agencies would be allowed to comment on potential impacts associated with this facility before the planning board took action on the state environmental quality review which would either be a negative declaration in that it does not have a significant impact on the environment, or a positive declaration that would involve an environmental impact study. And that has its own processes defined by New York State environmental conservation law. So it is not it's a very involved process that involves many other agencies beyond the planning board that all get to weigh in. Additionally, the planning board historically has held public hearings on projects like this. They don't have to, they just do, because it's the right thing to do. And we have a good planning board that wants input from the community. So you'll get another opportunity, I suspect, if this ever comes to fruition, for the public to weigh in on the potential impacts of the project on the town of Lysander. In this instance, currently this use would fit under an industrial use in our code. It does. It's not prohibited. It would require a special use permit. So an additional level of review at the planning board level to issue that special use permit. But it ultimately is a planning board review of the controlled site use and the issuance of a special use permit before the facility can be built.
And the proposed committee and the potential for it to recommend code changes would potentially then change the metric by which the planning board analyzes the project. Because the code itself, if it's changed, is what sets the standards that the planning board's review is governed by. All right, so the whole point, coming back to the beginning, of forming the committee to review, comment, and potentially propose what it feels are appropriate code changes. That is what flows through and then affects the planning board's scope of review on these, because the planning board is applying our code. Also, together with things like New York State Uniform Building and Fire Prevention Code and some other, and New York State environmental protection laws and all that, but they're applying our code to the review of the process. So one of the reasons why I think the suggestion was made about forming a committee after the moratorium to look at any potential code changes is because that is, our code is what informs the actions of the planning board. Okay.
Thank you, Will. Thank you.
Do you have time for one more?
Sure.
So I'm learning a lot tonight, and I appreciate you all being here and explaining this to us. Thank you so much for being here. So from what I'm hearing and what I'm understanding is, and I'd like to propose that we actually consider our codes and our zoning and our planning be updated to our current future standards, because as a New York State citizen, we all know that New York State really hasn't kept up infrastructure-wise, computer-wise, anything with any of our New York State needs. So, I mean, you look at the DMV, just for example, it just came to the top of my head. You know, during COVID, like what happened with the changes, because we had to, because we were like under the gun, we had to make some changes, right? And they updated it because they had to. And here I am, I'm feeling like I'm listening, and somewhere along the line, we didn't put the forethought, because data centers didn't exist when we made these laws, when we made these codes, right? These things didn't exist. So who had the globe and the crystal ball to know that this is what we're going to be looking at in 2026? This is what we're going to be looking at in 2030 in an industrial zone. Like, you had no idea, and I don't fault any of you for that, or anybody prior to you. But here we are now, that our laws and our codes and our planning didn't keep up with the times. We didn't have this in place ahead of time, and now we're in a legal issue with this current prospect.
Right, and then, I mean, to be
Right.
clear, there's no legal issues.
Well, or
Yeah, I'm sure there will be plenty, but there aren't right now.
So I'm just proposing and pleading with you to please consider future use of zoning and future use of industrial zones, because, yeah, we want jobs in our area. We want some business, right? But this doesn't provide that for us. This provides damage to us as a citizens and as groups and as neighbors that live close by. And not even close by, we've all seen the wind prediction and water prediction. So I'm just pleading that we please take that into consideration, that we really need to update what we're doing and thinking ahead. And I know there's no way to know what's coming down the road, but there's something bigger than data centers coming. We know it, right? And it's scary.
Yeah, thank you. Is there anybody else? Okay, last call for tonight. I don't see anybody jumping up, so we'll end citizens' comments. Town board comments. Start with Mr. Mangan.
Sure. I just wanted to thank everybody for coming. Like Ed said, we all take your comments and your concerns into consideration, and we all are members of Lysander as well. We're all members of the community as well, so we're all we all share the same concerns. You know, we are here because we're community members and we represent you, but like Ed said, we are definitely taking into consideration what everybody says, and we're trying to address them as we go. So just bear with us. But thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'll echo everything that Vinny said, and thanks for everyone for coming out and expressing your concerns. Well noted. Thank you.
I have a list. But thank you.
Of course you do. Ed always does.
Thank you all for coming. It's, you know, so many meetings I've been to where nobody showed up, and it's really, I understand it's a hot button issue that's got us all out here, but I really appreciate the participation. I think the government works best when the people participate. That said, I just wanted to give a shout out to the Parks Department for their Dumped in the Trunk activity. It was, I came in, saw what was going on. They had a lot of vendors. I saw a lot of people buying stuff. I think it was a good event for the community. And, you know, I'm encouraged by how active the Parks Department has gotten this year. I went to the PERMA conference last week. Kevin was there as well. I'll let him talk about the award.
Oh, you can.
All right. But PERMA is the Public Employees Risk Management Association. Town of Lysander's been a member of it for 30 years now, which is, we got an award for that, which is good. While we were there, they talked about their courses to, you know, go through to learn different things. But one of the things I thought was interesting was they have a trailer they can bring out and teach the town workers, particularly the highway department, but any of the town workers, how to deal with avoiding slips and falls in the winter. So they have a nice trailer and they have a slick surface and they spray water on it and people are in a harness. Anyway, they said that if you go through this training, they have they can reduce slip and fall injuries by 50%. So I think that's something that we'd be interested in here, and they would talk to them doing or the village to see if they want to know. It's a free thing for the town, and it seems like a good thing to do. The Memorial Day Parade, the village contacted me and asked me to have it on the website, so Dina put that up. Thank you, Dina. Saturday, May 30th, starts at 9 a.m. in front of the post office. It's a nice event. I encourage people to go to it. Canton Woods had, actually Meals on Wheels at Canton Woods had their bingo. I understand that was a big success, so thanks to everyone who went to that. Also, the Canton Woods main fundraiser is their golf tournament coming up on June 15th at Battle Island. So I assume there's still some slots left if anyone's interested.
2 teams. There's space for 2 teams as of today.
Okay, so 2 teams left as of today. So if you'd like to go, sign up as soon as you can.
Foursomes, right?
There's a county hearing on shaping the future of economic development on schools and communities next Wednesday at North Syracuse Junior High School, so I plan on attending that. I didn't see the agenda, but it seemed to fit right in with what we've got going on here, so I'll definitely want to be there. And then the big one for me is the Hayes Road speed limit signs finally got installed. I've been asking for that for years and years and years, so.
It's a county road, by the way.
Yeah, yes.
The county misinterpreted the state's instructions a couple of years ago, and it took this long to get the other end of the road marked.
Right.
I just stayed on it.
So, but anyway, thank you, Kevin, for sending them a note to get started again.
Yeah, because Hayes Road's so big, there's a North Hayes Road and a Hayes Road, and that caused a lot of confusion for state and county conversation.
And, thank you to the county and the state DOTs for both doing their part to get it done. I know this is something that's been going on for literally 25 years. When my boys were little, the neighbors were up at town, obviously different board, up requesting this, and it's just dragged on, and no one's going to get it done. So I really appreciate the fact that we finally got all our things in line and it occurred. So, and I've gotten several calls from the neighbors already, so it's a good thing.
Good. Now hopefully people observe the speed limit.
That's good.
Enforcement again, and that's not a code office issue, that's having the opportunity with a short staff departments. Thank you. Ed, yes. Oh, sure.
I just have one more quick thing, sorry. For the last 3 months, I spend the last Saturday of the month for 2 hours at Bacon Cafe, and I sit there and allow citizens to come and have a different platform to speak to me. So if anybody, now that we have a bunch of people here, I'd love to invite everybody to come if you'd like, at 1:30 on next Saturday. Thanks.
Is that 1:30 our time or your time?
I can't defend you on that one, Katie, I'm sorry. Okay. Supervisor's comments. As Ed said, the village is doing the Memorial Day Parade. I know that's pretty early for most people. I've seen a lot of disgruntled posts on Facebook over the 9 a.m. start. But they do have a ceremony at the cemetery that they usually have a guest speaker that the American Legion puts on. Bring a lawn chair, because obviously there's no place to sit, but there is definitely an open area to listen to the ceremony. Usually they get a couple of the students from the school. I believe they do in Flanders Field and a couple other things in memoriam for Memorial Day. It's very impressive. Usually it's a little over an hour, but with the 9 a.m. start, that starts when they finally get the parade completed, probably around 10:30 or so. It's usually about an hour and a half service. The American Legion usually does like a watch fire the day on Memorial Day. I don't know if they're gonna move it up because of the earliness of the time, but if you check with the American Legion, they'll let you know. That's also open to the public at that point. Summer hours. I didn't know if town clerk was gonna hit this or not, but we will be doing our summer hours at Town Hall starting June 1st. We still work 35 hours in a week. We're still open. It's just Monday through Thursday, we open a half hour earlier, so we're open 8:30 to 4:30. And then Friday, we do 8:30 to 1:30 to allow people to cut out a little earlier on the weekend. They're still putting 35 hours in. They're not getting a couple extra hours, on the hook on the taxpayer's dime. And just to remind people, the highway department does 410s currently, so they are off on Fridays. If you go to the website, there is an emergency number. That there is a cell phone that one of the highway department, usually it's the highway superintendent or one of the employees, will have over the weekend. If a tree falls, if you see roads blocked, call 911. They will get in touch with the highway department after hours, off hours, those kinds of items. You can always call 911. 911 will get a hold of the highway department to take care of obstructions, or if there's a big rain event and streets flooded or clogged, call 911. They'll get the memo out to the highway department. They'll come and take care of it. Street lights, which I know most of them don't see them anymore now. That's longer days, but street lights, call here or shoot me an email or the town engineer. We got a contractor that comes out and works on them every couple of weeks. Usually we take care of them within 2 weeks if it's something that we can fix. I do know we started the project, 2020 when we redid all the light heads. And, some of them have actually obsoleted, so we're going to a new style head. So sometimes, depending on what we can get from a vendor, it might be out for a little while if we don't have parts to keep it going. So let us know on that regard. And spray park, I think it's open. I don't know how many people are enjoying it now. I know Monday and Tuesday was hot. We had some flow issues. We got a contractor out, straighten that out. Kids won't be knocking each other down, I think, with the water cannons. They were turned up a little high. And it was creating a flooding issue, but the town engineer, now that Al's back in office, he took care of that. Well, I think Al also pointed out, the parents could have got a little wet if the kids knew where they were, if they could estimate the stream if you were outside the fence. So I think we've got that up and running again for the summer. I know most kids don't care if it's 40 or 80 out there. They'll go run and play if they see the water on. So that's back up and running for the summer. I know the official start was this weekend, but I believe we're not shutting it off. So,
I haven't talked to Kevin about it.
I know they do have times, but
I know he has a couple private events scheduled for this coming week. I have to look at the calendar. I believe he's got it posted on the calendar, the park calendar, when it officially opens to the public. But
yeah, I think it was Memorial Day, but I know he was trying to get it running with the hot weather.
Yeah.
So, and then small side reminders. Mrs. LaPreece is over in the audience. July 11th, which she can't attend because they've got their 42 other committees that Charlie LaPreece is on. They got Woodworkers Day. We are doing volunteer recruitment fire first responder day at the park. It'll be the Saturday, July 11th. It will run from 10 to 1. Most of our volunteer fire departments will attend. They come with their trucks. Plainville's always a big hit with the little kids. They got this little house. They got a little fire thing. They bring out one of the smaller hoses. The kids knock them down, put the coat on, put a hat on, and they get a little toy plastic helmet to take home with them. Belgium Cold Springs usually has coloring books, but two things. The county's coming. They're bringing the Sherpa, which is the big oversized behemoth that can go out and float in the lake for water and marsh rescues. So they're going to be bringing that along. It's always a good time. Hopefully the weather's good. Last year it was warm, a little toasty. But we're guaranteed to not be 40 and snowing, which is when Recruit New York happens. And talk about New York State scheduling. Recruit New York is the second or third weekend in April, which is usually horrible. In years past, so you don't get a lot of people out at fire stations. So we try to do something in the summer to get people out, get them active. Fire departments need people. Doesn't matter if you can be a fireman or just help with the auxiliary. Reach out to your local fire departments, help out any way you can. So I will remind people for the next couple meetings. That's it on my end. Department head reports. Town attorney.
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Town engineer?
Most of this is related to highway, but I'll give the public and the board an update. We wrapped up our mill and fill road paving projects today. At least round one. We'll have some additional work, hopefully once the state funding letter comes and the state completes the budget. I gotta say this. If you see people on the road working, if there's cones, if there's flaggers, pay attention to them. Some of the driving I witnessed this week, I can't believe some people have a license. Please pay attention to the flaggers, look out for the cones. Everybody wants to go home to their family at night.
And we have had instances. We did have a highway employee have his foot run over a few years ago.
People just need to slow down in construction zones.
Yeah. And they try to just cone it off because with the emulsion technology, it's done being paved. It's pretty much can be dragged on shortly after. So we try not to close entire stretches of road to make people move around. They're closing sides. So be attentive. And side note on that. People with kids with e-bikes and scooters, please pay attention to them. I live in Radisson and I see the kids riding around, they're not old enough to be out unattended. And, you know, riding paths, just remind your kids, be conscious, because I would hate to see an accident or an issue occur because people are letting kids that, you know, pay attention to them, make sure they know what they're doing.
One other thing, there will be a lane closure on Willow Parkway southbound, probably through the weekend. We repaired a collapsed storm sewer pipe today, or had a contractor repair a collapsed storm sewer pipe today. They'll be resetting the curb tomorrow. Concrete for the curb needs to cure before they pave. So at some point in time, beginning of next week, that repair will be paved in. And
Just pretty much the section from West Entry going south to
West Entry south to 31, yeah, between West Entry and Deep Lake.
Okay, thank you. And it's 2 lanes, so there's enough room.
Yeah, so the road's open, just 1 lane's closed.
Okay. Thank you, Al. Town clerk.
I don't have anything tonight, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up is agenda items. Motion 8, can I get a motion that the town board be designated lead agency for the zone change petition received from CNY Crops Plainville LLC for the property located at Oswego Road and Lamson Road. Tax map number 017.03-30.1 from agricultural to neighborhood residential / business district NRBD.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Discussion, we had talked about this in the work session. Mr. Ellen came in, talked about their request to rezone the corner parcel that surrounds burned area in Lamson and 48. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
3 in favor, Mr. Schmidt opposed. Okay, motion passes. Motion B, can I get a motion that the zone change petition received from CNY Crops Plainville LLC for the property located at Oswego Road and Lamson Road, tax map number 017.03-30.1, from agricultural to neighborhood residential business district, be referred to the Town of Lysander Planning Board and the Onondaga County Planning Board?
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Okay. As again, these next 2 motions are all coinciding with the request for the zone change. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Aye. Mr. Schmidt opposed. Motion carries 3-1. Motion C.
Kevin, I would recommend we table this one because Fred's getting the plat map from the surveyor.
Okay.
We need to include that with the
Just in case
county
we don't
planning.
hit the timing.
Wait, exactly, so we'll wait 2 weeks and then schedule the public hearing.
Now, just so you know, we probably won't be meeting till the second meeting in July because our first meeting would be July 2nd.
I don't know if Fred's in a huge hurry here.
Okay, I just want to reiterate that.
No, yeah, I don't know if we're gonna have something back from the county before. June 18th, so I don't want to open the public hearing and have to keep it open for months.
Then we'll just table it. I mean, it didn't sound like he had any kind of urgency at it. So we'll table C then. So we're off the hook on advertising. Motion D, can I get a motion to reduce the punch list security requirement for Giddings Crest section C7 to $2,000 per the attached letter?
I'll second.
Discussion. Mr. Yeager. The developer has to clean the catch basins, and that's the last remaining item on the punch list. This is a cash security, so we do need to refund him $3,000.
Okay. Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All yes, motion carried. We are going to motion table E. We're going to table motion E because I have not finished updating that resolution, which is very convoluted because it's federal government with Onondaga County. So I want to verify with the attorney in the county that I got it right. So we'll table that one again. And we have till August, so we're gonna. Yes. Yep. Motion F. Can I get a motion to authorize the town clerk to appoint Kara Peck as deputy town clerk and deputy tax receiver effective June 1st, 2026, with an hourly rate as per the union contract?
I'm with it.
I'll second.
Discussion. This is to replace we had a resignation of the deputy town clerk. They also do tax receiving. So both items are within the union contract. And it is the town clerk's appointment. So good to see that we've got somebody coming in.
I'm very happy.
Very good. All in favor? Aye. All yes, motion carried. Motion G, can I get a motion to appoint the following summer aides in the Parks and Recreation Department effective Sunday, May 10th, 2026? Colleen Natali, $35 hourly. Stella Shaw, $16 hourly. Nino Barry Negron, $16 hourly. I will explain that Colleen Natali is she runs programming, so that is why she's not a 40-hour week, but if we have a certain programming we're running, she oversees that programming. That's the difference in the rate. The other two help with our BFAST program for the most part, which is like a Sunday, fun day, run day kind of thing, where they work for a couple hours. So these are not like a 20, 30-hour week job. These are just as needed as we have, smaller programs going on. Okay.
I'll second.
Discussion. Do we need any? I think I beat it to death. So, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Yes, motion carried. One more. Motion H. I gotta find it. Okay, motion H. Can I get a motion to allow the town supervisor to sign the LWRP extension as required by New York State? The LWRP was granted a 2-year extension by New York State, and updated forms need to be signed as the town of Lysander is the project coordinator.
I'll move it.
I'll second that.
Discussion, as I said at the work session, the original extension ended in April. This extension will get us for 2 more years, which we will have the LWRP completed by then. With a new coordinator or administrator, we needed to make sure all the forms were correct with the state to be allowed to issue payments for our vendor consultants that are working on the project. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Yes.
Can you just let people know what LWRP stands for?
Oh, Local Waterfront Revitalization Project.
Yeah.
Did I win?
I think so.
We got it? Awesome.
No, that was just.
No,
I've looked at it enough for the last 4 years, so.
I find a lot of times we use these.
Exactly.
Right.
Nobody out there knows what we're talking about.
Yes, yep. So, okay, well, yes, motion carried. Can I get a motion to adjourn our meeting at 7:40 PM?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Have a good Memorial Day, everybody. Thank you.